Corruption. Corruption. We must admit that there is corruption in our society, in the private sector, in the public sector. It is there. It is there. And I want to be the leader that encourages every Ghanaian to play a role in removing corruption from our society. And that is why I will make ending administrative corruption an important priority. That we don't just continue to talk about it, but we do something about it. And one thing I want to do is to make the Office of Attorney General an independent prosecutors organization separate from the Ministry of Justice to make it effective in fighting corruption at all levels. And if we talk about Freedom of Information Act, if it isn't passed, when I get there, it will be passed very promptly. Because the people deserve information. The people deserve to know that if someone does wrong, it will not be because they belong to a certain political party that they go free. Or that someone does something very small because they belong to a different political party that the state descends on them heavily to punish them. Now let's talk about energy. My party's vision is to provide leadership with a sense of urgency to deliver abundant energy resources to enable the acceleration of industrialization and modernization of our communities. And I keep saying that we know what needs to be done. It is not that anybody is going to bring anything new. The energy plans have been there, from the NDC to the MPP. It's a matter of implementation. And what is the difference here? It's a leadership that will implement what needs to be done today and not wait till tomorrow. And our party has a track record. It is the only one planned to bring significant energy resources and in its tenure completed it. There's no equal. So we're talking about what we have demonstrated, not just what we talk about, not just what is on a piece of paper. And let me tell you, as energy is an ingredient that is essential for development, it will receive the highest level of attention from the presidency. And in the area of oil and gas, we want to ensure that there's effective participation. And I mean, when I say participation, ownership of Ghanaians in all areas, both upstream and downstream, because we want Ghanaians to share in ownership so that profits can remain in this country. And I want to be very clear. When I'm your president, if there's a natural resource anywhere, and Ghanaians can share in the ownership, it will remain on the ground. Go and look at Johannesburg. It's a gold town. It's a big city, modern city. Now look at Obuasi, go to Akwatia, go to Pristia. Is that what we want? Absolutely not. And so I want the communities closest to the oil and gas production to be redeveloped using modern planning methods and global standards to ensure that they benefit directly from their proximity, to enable them to protect the oil and gas assets and be a testimony to the drive for prosperity and healthy communities. We don't want to repeat the Niger Delta experience here in Ghana. And what is left? We want the revenue accruing. What is left to the state to be discussed, the formula to be discussed widely and passed into law by Parliament, so that no president can come and do with the resources as he or she wants, based on the party's ideology or their own personal needs. What I want to say is that government will develop further the atomic energy capabilities for peaceful and economic purposes as an essential factor in national development. And now let's talk about food and nutritional security, because it is important that we recognize the fact that all over the world, governments are taking bold steps to protect food stocks by restricting the amount of food items that can be exported. We should recognize the fact that governments all around the globe are not just standing by to watch the markets do as they please in the interest of the private sector operators alone. They are intervening on behalf of their people. And so, what we're saying, let me give you a quotation, and you tell me which era this belongs. And I'm quoting. Ghana's food imports during the last 8 years have risen enormously. Much of our hard-earned foreign currency is being spent on food from abroad. It is therefore a measure of one of the tasks facing agriculture during this period of economic development, the need to feed Ghana as far as possible from our own resources, unquote. This sounds like something from 2008, but it isn't. This was taken from the 7-year development plan that was published in December 1963. Did we go or did we come? I am saying that a CPP administration led by me will engage in energetic, sustained, and well-organized efforts over the next 4 years to produce enough to meet our food and nutritional requirements. And let me say what we will implement. We will ensure that the state intervenes in food production to promote increased investment, research, and application of results, storage and distribution, including strategic stock management. And that is one reason why we want to retain the Agricultural Development Bank as a Ghanaian-owned financial institution of food for domestic consumption. And we will support the CSIR and the universities to bring research to practical use by investing and providing modern research tools, equipment, and facilities, and then providing tax incentives to the private sector for the use of research output to encourage innovation and food production. And oh yes, we'll redesign the Workers' Brigade and bring them back. And yes, we'll restructure the Food Distribution Agency so that we focus on post-harvest work, such as preservation, processing, and distribution to secure national food and nutritional security. And let me say to you, you go everywhere in Ghana, go to Nasia. Nasia, they are growing rice. Aveime, Afife, Dawenya. Go to Biposu near Komenda. And just 2 days ago, I was in Nduom, near Kumasi. That's rice. Beautiful, wonderful rice. No one is buying it. And we're importing rice from Thailand, from India, from America. And we have rice. That is why I tell you, I become your next president. No state institution will be allowed to buy any food item we can grow in this country that comes from abroad. You come to a state function under my presidency, what touches your lips, whether it's food or beverage, will be produced in Ghana. We need to encourage our own. That is how we will create jobs. That is how a Yumura will make sure that a young man gets a job, that a young woman will get a job. And let's say it is the CPP that said, and is still saying, Africa must unite. And on the occasion of the 40th independence anniversary, the late President Julius Nyerere of Tanzania, in a speech said that without unity, there is no future for Africa. And he said, and I quote him, Kwame Nkrumah was Ghana's leader, but he was our leader too. For he was an African leader. He was a visionary. He thought big, but he thought big for Ghana and its people and for Africa and its people. He had a dream for Africa and its people. What I'm saying to you today is that the vision Kwame Nkrumah had for Africa unity today means partnership for progress through shared knowledge with full respect for our differences. My party believes in Pan-Africanism. I will lead Ghana back to the front of creating a continental union with the promise of a better market, security, and a good life for all Africans.